Azusa Street Revival remains monumental in the history of Pentecostal era that changed Christianity, sparking the fire experienced today all over the world. But behind that historic movement was the man called William Joseph Seymour. He had one eye. He had no money. He wasn't even allowed to sit in the classroom where the doctrine that shaped him was taught. But from a rented room on a dusty street in Los Angeles, he set the world on fire. William Joseph Seymour was born in 1870 in Centerville, Louisiana, to former slaves. His early years were shaped by hardship, racism, and a relentless pursuit of God. He was a quiet, humble man, soft-spoken, often hidden in the background. But he carried a hunger for more. He longed for a Christianity that looked like the Book of Acts, a church alive with miracles, unity, and the presence of the Holy Spirit. Seymour was drawn to the holiness movement, believing in sanctification, healing, and the imminent return of Christ. His journey led him to Houston, Texas, where he met Charles Fox Parham. Because of Jim Crow laws, Seymour was not allowed to sit with white students in Parham's Bible school. Instead, he listened from the hallway, notebook in hand, heart open. What he heard changed him forever, the doctrine of Holy Spirit baptism with the evidence of speaking in tongues. In 1906, Seymour was invited to preach in Los Angeles. He arrived full of faith but faced immediate rejection. After preaching on the baptism of the Holy Spirit, with no visible evidence to support it, he was locked out of the church. But that rejection only redirected him to destiny. Seymour moved into the home of Richard and Ruth Asbury on Bonnie Bray Street. He continued to teach and pray with a handful of hungry souls. Then, on April 9, 1906, it happened. One of the young men fell to the floor and began speaking in tongues. It was a dilapidated former church and stable, with a dirt floor and wooden crates for pews. But what happened there was extraordinary. The Azusa Street Mission became the epicenter of a spiritual earthquake. People of every color, class, and background gathered. They spoke in tongues, fell under the power of God, prophesied, sang, wept, and rejoiced, together. In a time when segregation ruled America, Azusa was a glimpse of heaven. Black and white, male and female, rich and poor, they worshipped side by side. It was messy. It was wild. It was holy. William Seymour led not with charisma, but with humility. Often, he would hide his face in a box during the meetings, praying quietly while the Spirit moved. He believed it wasn't about him, it was about God's presence. What would become the global Pentecostal and charismatic movement. Tens of thousands received the baptism in the Holy Spirit. New churches were born. Denominations formed. Nations were changed. And it all began with a quiet black preacher who dared to believe that the Holy Spirit was still being poured out today. William J. Seymour died in near obscurity in 1922. But his legacy lives on. Today, over 600 million people identify as Pentecostal or charismatic, more than any other branch of Protestantism. From Nigeria to Brazil, Korea to the Philippines, Los Angeles to Lagos, the fire still burns. He had one eye, but he saw what others couldn't. He was kept outside the door, but God opened the heavens. He spoke little, but his life spoke volumes. This is the story of a man who didn't just dream revival, he lived it. The event of his life leaves us with one question: if God could use someone like William J. Seymour, he can use anyone including you. For more, please, subscribe, share and comment.